Everyone, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to the Slowest Blitz, where we are playing Asphodel. This is turn 8, I believe. And let's jump into things. So, we got triple expansion this turn. Hopefully we're successful in all of them. We do have one or two that may be questionable. We'll see. And yeah, kicking things off, though, Kidzen, I'm coming for you, which is the only pretender that is not in the I'm naming scheme, which this is, I think, Ballin playing as Abysia, claims the throne of the first stage. So that's kind of interesting. You know, it's gonna be really neat to see over the course of the next, probably, this is pretty early for a throne, but gonna be neat to see over the course of the next, you know, 5 to 10 turns, people really taking thrones, and what thrones get taken by who, and what that means for the game. Because some of the, as we saw, some of the thrones are really interesting thrones to have on particular different nations. So let's jump into some of our expansions. Levendalin. So this is where we combined a little force of satyrs that we recruited, and a couple of, you know, bits of mannequin chaff with some black centaurs against a decently sized wolf tribe province, which isn't as big as I think we had originally thought. I think it was originally shown as like 100 something, like 120, which was concerning. And then it was like 80 or 90 is what it showed afterwards. So I think we'll be okay here. Still have to be concerned because too many harassment penalties can make it to where these little dagger boys hurt pretty bad against our black centaurs. Got a little split up there again. Attack rear not doing great, and we saw it just there, right? Like a whole bunch of harassment coming in on a singular black centaur, even though these guys have very high defense skill, and these guys do not have very high attack skill. At 2 attacks per unit, get them harassed down, and then all of a sudden they start to drop, right? So and part of that is because of the very low protection on these things. Even after they berserk, right, still only going up to 13 protection. So lots of ability for chip damage. It's like we maybe are gonna get away with only losing 1, depending on how the retreat goes. But that is why we were concerned about the amount of wolf tribe that were in the province. So yeah, we lose 1 black centaur there, lose most of our mannequins, a couple satyrs. Most of the satyrs actually lived, which is somewhat surprising, but we do take the province. Sustainable losses, relatively okay. We'll check Ulm's scenario last. We attacked in Iron Peaks, and we were concerned about this one, not because of the force that we were facing, but the chance of it being against a bump against man, but we know that that's not the case, so should be no real issue. We've got a little bit of heavies, some archers. This should be a stomp. So blessings, our black centaurs come in, basically immediately annihilate the militia, chew through the heavy infantry, potentially going to take some hits as they rush the archers, but looks like we're pretty okay there. Actually did end up losing a single black centaur. Let's see if we can find where that happened. It might not have happened. Again, the battle results might be desynced compared to that guy right there has taken quite a few hits. I wonder if it's a profuse bleeding or anything. Nope. Well, took a loss there. Wish we hadn't, but so far we've lost very few Black Centaur overall, so not too bad, terribly. And then we have our combined force here against a decently sized tribe of bone hunters. And these guys are scary not because of these particular individuals, if we can find them, but because of these particular individuals. So regular bone tribe hunters, no big deal. A little bit of berserking, which, you know, with such low protection, such low HP, not really a problem, not really a huge threat. These guys, however, the beast hunters, come in with this spadum, which hits very hard, right? 20 damage, really, really hurts. 3 berserking, 12 HP, 6 protection. Still gonna die pretty easily, but if you don't kill them in that one shot, all of a sudden this is a 14 attack, 23 piercing damage attack, which can pop things very, very quickly, right? So that is the concern there. Got our mannequins coming in. Hopefully, our black centaurs will not actually have to face the beast hunters very much. They'll maul these bone tribe in the back and then just HP route the beast hunters. Did you see that centaur? We got here, and then that centaur was like, I don't want to be fighting over here anymore. I'm going to run, peel off from the group, run over here into this little pocket, and immediately die to the beast hunters. So, mission accomplished, though. We deal enough HP damage on the regular bone tribe to rout the beast hunters. Did we take losses? Lost that one centaur warrior, lost our Carrion behemoth. Did not take any losses on our black centaurs, though. That's what we really care about. Pretty clean turn. Few little losses here and there, nothing too big. We get to see a little force of, I'm assuming, lance catchers. Yep, lance catchers out front. We have a bunch of black knights. Black knights are so cool, so scary in the mid game. Very high protection, both on the knight and on the destrier, right? Oftentimes, I feel like with the addition of in Dominion 6 and the the changes between with mounting mechanics and having the rider and the mount separate units, you'll often see situations where one or the other is heavily armored, right? And then the other one is like significantly more lightly armored. Or in the case, you'll also see like defense skill, big defense skill differences, right? In the case of the Black Knights, both the Knight and the Destrier are very well armored, very hard to hurt. Not the most killy things on the face of the planet, but still pretty killy. They do have a heavy lance, so that's going to hit fairly hard on the charge. And then they actually do have this Morning Star, which hits decently hard and has +2 attack skill versus shields, which can actually, a lot of things in the game have shields, especially elite troops. So this actually can give them a little bit of an edge, even though they're not sacred units or anything like that. It can make them very formidable chewing through something like us, right? Like the Black Centaurs. All of a sudden, this isn't a 13 attack versus a 20-something defense. This is a 15 attack versus a 20-something defense, and that matters, right? That absolutely can matter very quickly. Not an especially threatening mount. Some mounts have really good attacks, like the unicorns for the Knights of Avalon have really good that innate magic horn attack, which makes them very threatening. But the Black Destriers are mostly normal, so easy peasy. This should be a slaughter. Lance catchers do their job. What are these, cataphracts? No, heavy cav get countercharged. The other Black Knights are in the rear, and easy route. I'll be surprised if they lost a single Black Knight in this. Nope, no Black Knight losses. Lost the 4 light infantries. Exactly how you should play, ducking into some heavy cav provinces if you have the capabilities of doing something like this. Very, very nicely done. So, that is it for the stuff. Let's take a look around and see what is unfolding in the world around us. It's it's turn 8. We are at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 provinces. Very good expansion. Very happy with that. And we are probably, I would say, with the aid of our harpies, one of the most knowledgeables, sans just information sharing. We probably have some of the most map uncovered compared to other players, which is cool because it gives us a very good understanding of what is going on around us. We can see kind of Phaeacia's seemingly slow expansion. Ulm's also seemingly slow expansion, though it's ramping up. We can see Man kind of branching out, going in this kind of like looped area. Pyrene off to the west of Man. We've got Bandar Log, where we can note, right, Bandar Log is down here, but has expanded all the way up here to Farseer Mountains, so that's very interesting. We can even see Pythium on the eastern border of Phaeacia, only 2 away from their cap, right? So that's very interesting as well. So we've got a whole bunch of harpies that we're going to continue to press out and try to uncover all of this fog of war, so we have a good understanding of where people are. That should help us in kind of ascertaining initial war targets, or kind of having an understanding of who's likely to face off against who might be good allies, etc., etc. And in the meantime, we're going to be doing a couple of different things. You can see we've got red marks all over the place. Let's hit the basics first. So down here in the south near Phaeacia, we're just going to jump from Forest of the Lost with the group that we have over into Wick. Not a lot of changes here. Pretty much everything's still going the same as we would expect, right? We are going to send this Centaur Hierophant actually over to the Monarch Woods, potentially to either start site searching, but more likely, as we're starting to get better income, to start throwing down things like temples and labs and stuff like that, especially in the anticipation of getting a good panic, what are they called? Panic apostates, which we're gonna start recruiting this turn. And if we get really lucky, then we can throw down a lab and start getting forts up in kind of like tandem with those 2 units. So that'll be very, very nice. Fingers crossed. Not worried about Wick. That should be perfectly fine. Don't know, right, like where Phaeacia is going to be going, but it does look like they're focusing around this little pond that they have. It still looks like a very slow expansion, so that's definitely something that we want to keep an eye on. Phaeacia, without some big bless, who has a very slow expansion, might be a good piece of food for us, depending on the situation, right? So we'll see how that all turns out. Not 100% sure how, like, there's so much open territory over here, but we don't want to overextend ourselves too terribly. So what I'm probably looking at here is counting things out. It's turn 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? So if we take Homemade Sweets army, hit, then we're back in our cap circle on this throne in that kind of like 12 turn scenario, and that takes us from what we were at 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, right? 21 provinces, which very respectable, very happy with that kind of concept. So in that vein, we are pinging this throne this turn with the scout just to kind of see what's going on there. We've got some new Carrion commanders that have popped up this turn, right? That we're just going to start ferrying around our territory and picking up mannequins, right? We can see we've got little stacks in both Ictin and Sitha, right? That we're just going to start picking up and trying to compile a decently sized army with. We are doing something that I don't know that is going to work out very well. Last turn, we recruited some harpies in both Monarch Woods and Sylvania. Not just the actual units themselves, but some actual harpies as well. These guys are going to die almost instantaneously, right? Like, all but guaranteed, single hit will kill them. 7 HP, 0 protection, not great defense, right? Gonna die, gonna get marked. But if we have them on a hold and attack rear, going for something like this particular barbarian province, what I'm hoping that we're going to do is we're just going to disrupt them. We're going to lose all of these harpies, but the hold and attack rear will hopefully maybe pop a few barbarians, but mostly just disrupt and distract them so that they get hit from the front, get hit from the back, and approximately around the same time get hit from the side, and we can avoid any lucky hits coming in on our Black Centaurs and go from there. In Bycliff, this is questionable. There is a stack of 9-ish, probably 8 Knights of Avalon, or maybe like 6 or 7 Knights of Avalon, and probably, I don't know if this is their prophet, or if it's got like a monk with them or something like that, right? But if they go down to Bycliff and we bump, we likely lose, right? Like, pound for pound, the Knights of Avalon are, especially with the way that we're built versus the way that man is built, pound for pound, the Knights of Avalon are far superior to the Black Centaurs. And they should be, because the Black Centaurs are 55 gold and the Knights of Avalon are 90 gold. That being said, even with double the numbers, I don't think it's a good matchup because of the design scheme, right? Like, I think with the right bless versus the current bless of man, Black Centaurs can kill them, right? Like, if you're more invested in strength, then it turns into a situation where the Black Centaurs can hit hard enough to pop the Knights of Avalon quickly enough to turn it into a even fight when your numbers are about double theirs, right? When your gold cost is about even, is the idea. But with that is not the case. We are very defensive bless, specifically defense in our bless, and that I don't think is going to work out for us. We're still going to risk this. It's entirely possible man pops down here. However, that is pretty greedy. I would not be surprised, though, considering how greedy we have been with Edirol and Iron Peaks. But we'll see, right? Fingers crossed that that is not what happens. We take Bycliff, and then we have this little, like, section up here, and we're very stable to just make an eastern border with Bandar Log. I don't think we intend on going anywhere over here. These are Bandar's more than welcome to have those. I actually don't really want to be super close to the underground, and it looks like Bandar is all of the underground, which honestly is kind of annoying, I would assume, for them. So, that's the generalized plan. Expecting to lose all our harpies, hoping we don't get a bump, feel pretty safe down south in Wick, gonna ping, gonna start picking things up. Back at the capital, we are pulling the trigger on our first Panic Apostate. This is a big deal because, again, this is pre-patch. Panic Apostates come naturally at Death 2, Nature 2. They have a chance, 25% chance to random nature, which is what we need. Also, significantly lower chance to, I think it's 2.5% chance to random nature off of the additional. So it can be a little tough. You have to get very, very lucky in order to get a Panic Apostate that can cast, what's it called? Carrion Fortress. Okay, again, ignore this. This is bullshit because this is pre-patch gameplay showing the post-patch changes. This is not 3-2, this is 4-2, right? So without a nature for Panic Apostate, we cannot put up fortresses in our forests. So we got to cross our fingers. The next, if we get unlucky, the next probably 8 turns, is just gonna be us rolling Panic Apostates and praying that we get a Nature 4. And if we don't get a Nature 4, it's a big deal, right? If we don't get a Nature 4, our fortifications are excruciatingly expensive to put up, and it's gonna be almost untenable. And without that, we will not be able to keep up production in the way that we will want to be able to engage in an early war and come out with a win the other side. So very, very, very important that we get lucky here, which I think, obviously, kind of like deviating on the conversation, which I think is why in the patch for Asphodel they made this change, right? Because the idea that you can just be not even super unlucky, but a little unlucky and roll 3 or 4 Panic Apostates and not be able to put down a Carrion fortress is painful. It's very painful. Now, even pre-patch, they did make this a little bit better in Dominion 6 because the Carrion Lords, right, which a Panic Apostate can summon, they have a chance to roll randoms as well. So as soon as you get your first Panic Apostate, if it's not a Nature 4, you can start recruiting another Panic Apostate, and you can, if you want to, and we very well might, because we do have the Nature Gems for it, you can also roll Carrion Lords to kind of double up your chances of getting a Nature 4 sooner than you otherwise would have, right? But yeah, so that's the generalized concept that we're going for right now. Have had a very good expansion. Hopefully it continues to go out well. Very actually eager over here, very excited because we see Lizard Warriors, and that means potentially, I say potentially, but it pretty consistently means, it's not always, but pretty consistently means that you have Lizard Shamans, right? So Astral on the docket for us, which is very, very cool. Really, really want to get that. And before we pop up, let's actually take a look, right? So with thrones, Abysia has taken the throne of the first stage, which is actually perfectly cool with us because that is one of the thrones that we are least interested in. There's still the singular bad throne, in my opinion, for us, the Throne of Misfortune, but that leaves all of these other very good thrones that we could get. Specifically things like the Throne of Water would be absolutely amazing for us, and what is it? The Throne of Fire would also be phenomenal for us, right? Like getting those stat boosters, especially early on, if we can get them prior to an early game war, being able to add 3 defense or 3 attack into our Sacred Troops would be just mwah, right? So game plan, close out this kind of province expansion, see what is happening around us, gauge based off of what's happening around us what we want to do next, and then obviously take this throne, hope that it's a good throne for us, hope that we get lucky with some of our nature rolls so we can start dropping fort in Monarch Woods, maybe a fort up in Sylvania and Shade Forest, probably a fort over here after we take this, especially if we've got Lizard Shamans, right? So very, very excited to see what unfolds over the course of the next couple days. That's it. See you next time. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, commenting, or subscribing. It really helps me out. If you'd like to see me live, head over to my Twitch at twitch.tv/thedistanthorizon.